while it's great to be focused on your goals and to go after them, you can't forget about yourself in the process. We'll be discussing self-care coming up next.
Business of soul.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Business of Soul. I am your host, Dr. Melody, and I am here with my lovely co-host,
Miss Gloria.
So, today, how you doing today, Mom?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good.
That's good.
So, we are actually going to be wrapping up this season of the Business of Soul. This is our first season, and today we're going to end it talking about self-care. And today's topic is self-care or beware. Now, the reason why I decided to name it self-care or beware is because while it is great to go after your goals, of course, a lot of us, we are motivated to go after our dreams and to reach those things that we want to reach, right? And fulfill those things that we want to fulfill in our lives. But here's the thing, we cannot forget about self. So there is an importance when it comes to self-care, and there is a downfall when there is a lack of self-care that you implement for yourself. And I know all too well about that because there's been many of times that I forgot about myself in the process. You know, I was so just headstrong about going after what I wanted in life or reaching goals in business and things like that, and I forgot about me. You know, and so until one day I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you know, I don't even recognize myself anymore. Or I'm so worn down to where I feel like I can't even function anymore. And so, you know, I just wanted to talk on this topic and felt like it was a great way to wrap up this season because I don't want you guys to forget about yourselves throughout the process. We have been talking about how to go after our goals and everything, and you know, how not to let fear stop us, you know, and how to keep going and all these different things. But it's very important to make sure that you don't forget about you.
That's right.
And a lot of times, I don't know, it's like it's a natural thing for us, a lot of us, like we are so used to just taking care of everybody else, taking care of everything else around us, but we never really take the time to take care of us.
That's right.
You know, and it's like, it's just like this thing that's ingrained in us naturally or whatever. And so sometimes we have to unlearn things that we've learned throughout our lifetimes and relearn things that are more beneficial for us. And self-care, you know, that first part of that word being self, it is very important because when we hear the term like selfish, self-care is about being selfish, but it's in a positive way.
Right.
It's not a negative way of being selfish, right? It's not about forgetting about everything else, but it's about realizing that it's important to take care of yourself first so that you can be good for all of the other things that you want to take care of. You know, like if you're a parent or a spouse or whatever role you are within relationships, you have to take care of yourself first so that you can be good to fulfill that role, be your best self in that role.
That's right.
Right? So it's just like the example that I've heard many times before, but like when you're on an airplane, you know, they tell you, you know, if something happens on the airplane, if there's an emergency, you know, put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then help someone else. And so the same principle applies just in normal life. You know, we have to give ourselves the oxygen, so to speak, before we can try to help the people that are around us or try to go after the goals that we have to go after.
You know, one problem that I always had was, well, it's not a problem, but I'm always telling people, oh, you look great.
Mm-hmm.
You look good. You look nice. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I like the way you dress. I like the way you keep your hair and things like that. But I would always toss myself to the side, you know, and you do need that time to yourself.
Yes,
you do need self-care. Take that time. If that's mean you're going to go to the beauty salon and get your nails done, get a pedicure done, get your hair done,
Mm-hmm.
do some things for your own self, to keep your own self motivated and keep going.
Yeah, but I don't know why it is that we just naturally just forget about us. Like we are so willing. Like right now, if somebody were to call and say, "Oh, I need help with this," you would drop everything and help them. But you sometimes know when you're at your breaking point, but you just keep pushing yourself.
Right. And the reason why, too, a lot of times we just push ourselves to the side, and I know quite a bit people that, do that, because we got this big heart. We always putting others before we put ourselves. So we lack in ourselves. We push ourselves back. We push ourselves to the side, and we forget about ourselves. But when it comes to, putting yourself out there to help somebody else, you're doing everything possible that you can to help that person.
Absolutely.
But first, you have to help who?
Yourself.
Yourself.
Yeah. That's the thing. We do everything to help somebody else, or to take care of our families, to take care of our businesses, to be the best employee we can on our jobs, whatever it is. But when it comes to dealing with self, we just forget about us.
Right.
It's like we know there are things that we want to do for ourselves. We know there are things that will make us feel better, or can rejuvenate us.
Right.
And we still don't do it. We just have this, like I said, it's like this ingrained thing, and I don't know if we feel that that's the way to be, like that's the way we should be, like we should always be so selfless to the point where it's like, okay, I sacrifice myself to do everything for somebody else or everything else. Like that's the proper way to be, but it's not the proper way to be.
It's almost
so backwards.
Like you feel guilty.
Yes, and a lot of times we do feel guilty when we take time for ourselves, when we tell people no, when we tell people, I don't have the time right now, I've dedicated this time for myself. We do sometimes feel guilty that we don't do that. But here's the thing, like I said before, we have to unlearn those unhealthy habits that we have, because that's not the way that we should be going about things. If we don't start putting some time into ourselves, like she said, going to the hair salon, whatever it is that makes you feel good about yourself, whatever it is that you want to do for yourself with your time, that's what you should do. That looks different for everybody. Some people may want to take time for meditation. Some people may want to take a vacation. Some people may want to just sit quietly in their house and just watch movies and just be to themselves. Some people won't put their phone on do not disturb. So, whatever that is in your mind that you're like, this is what I want to do, or this is what I really need to kind of like rebuild myself and give myself that time to kind of refuel, then that's what you do. Whatever that looks like for you, that's what you do. And even if you take the time sometimes and like devise a little self-care plan for yourself.
Right.
Sometimes we do, like you said, about always complimenting someone else and how they take care of themselves and how they look in their appearance. Some of us, we are so goal oriented that we will look run down. We're not so focused on our appearance, because to us, the main goal is about getting things accomplished. But at the same time, like, how much of yourself do you really need to sacrifice to achieve things? You know what I'm saying? If you don't have time to make yourself look good, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times when we look good, we feel good.
Oh.
So that's a way, that is a means of self-care. And we all have different ideas of what looking good is. But I'm saying, why should we neglect ourselves just because we are trying to reach certain goals? And then sometimes we may be going after something and let's say it's for a certain amount of time, but we get so used to being in that habit of doing things that way that even after that's accomplished, we still don't go back to taking care of ourselves the way that we should. So let's, start like unpeeling the layers of all of this stuff that we've learned, because we have learned, you know, in a general sense, that sacrifice is the way to be. Like, we have to self-sacrifice to be the best for someone else, you know what I'm saying, or to be the best for whatever goal that we're trying to go after. But really, in all honesty, we have to take care of us first. We have to be number one on the list, because when we're good, that permeates out to everything that we touch, everybody who we take care of, because we're more of a whole person.
Right.
You know, we're feeling better, we're looking better, we're feeling more positive. We're not just all run down and worn out and feeling like we can't go on.
Right. You know, another thing is too, it don't take that much of time. It's just a little bit of time. This is just a little bit of something I'm gonna say this about me. I never put time aside for me. I used to always tell you how pretty you look. You stay nice, dressed, you know. But I never even knew that I can even look this nice, because I never put the time in myself. And like you said, once you do that, see, like, since I start putting, you know, giving myself some self-care, putting time into myself, putting time aside for me, I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel real good. I feel pretty. I like the way I look.
Pretty.
And I want to stay like this. This is the way I want to be. So, you know, just take that time out for yourself, and you're gonna see. You're gonna start loving it.
Yeah, that is true. And also too, I want to touch on, because self-care is more than just appearance. Sometimes we have to give our minds and our bodies a break. You know what I'm saying? Even sometimes we have to take breaks from people, you know, because even like recently, especially because just a transparent moment, for me and my mother, you know, holidays are not the best time for us. This time of the year, to be honest with you, if I could go crawl under a rock, I would, and just stay there until the following year.
Yeah.
But, you know, and that's due to my son being missing and everything. And then the ironic part about it is that he went missing on Christmas Day. That was the last time that we saw him, on Christmas Day. So every year around that Thanksgiving, Christmas time, like once Thanksgiving start coming in, that's when like I start just feeling really kind of gloomy and everything. So I've always, since he's been gone, I've kind of pushed myself to do family gatherings and this like that, and I'm always kind of like, my household is always the household that does all of the holiday get-togethers. You know, we're always the center of that. And so this year I was just like, you know what, I'm tired of pushing myself to be good for everybody else. Let me take this time for myself that I really should be taking, so that I really can be okay. You know what I'm saying?
And you need that time.
Yes.
You really do.
And so that's what I've actually done this year, because sometimes you have to take time for yourself, no matter how other people feel about it, no matter whether they understand or not, because some people are not going to understand, and that's okay, because it's not their journey. They're not the ones going through it. They're not the ones dealing with it, you know, whatever. If something is heavy on you and you feel like you really much rather just have that time alone, or have that time doing something else that will kind of make you feel better, then do that for yourself. And don't worry about, and this is a hard one for a lot of people, don't worry about how other people take it. If they truly love you, they'll get it. They'll, even if they don't understand it, they'll respect it. You know, only the people that, you know, don't really care for you or whatever, that's the ones that's gonna have a problem.
Right.
You know,
and you know, the thing is who cares if they don't get it?
Well,
it's not about that.
Right.
The thing it is, what it's about is, I need the time.
Right.
You know, and that's what they should understand.
Right.
And like she said, if they love you, they would understand.
Yeah.
They would give you that time, you
Yeah.
know. But everybody, like she just said, everybody is not going.
Yeah, everybody is not understanding, and some people's understanding is very limited. You know, everybody doesn't have the same level of understanding.
Right.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So you have to get to a point to where you don't let those things bother you.
That's right.
You have to make sure that you are good, because in the end, you're not hurting anybody. You're not trying to cause harm to anybody. All you're trying to do is take care of you,
Right.
and that is okay. Because your life is your responsibility. Now, if you keep on sacrificing yourself and trying to keep up appearances to be good for everybody else, then at the end of the day, you still gonna be dealing with whatever you're dealing with.
Exactly.
And as a matter of fact, it might even be worse, because no telling what kind of triggers you may deal with, or things that might, you know, increase that feeling or that gloom or that despair or whatever it is that you could be going through. So I'm just sharing a little bit of my experience to give you an example, you know. And see, me, I don't care what other people think. I know sometimes, you know, some of us, we do care, but I am at a point in my life, I don't care.
No.
I don't care how people take it.
I don't
Because if I'm not doing anything to you or trying to do anything negative to you, I can't worry about that. You know, what you think and what you feel, I cannot worry about that, because at the end of the day, you're not walking in my shoes.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, I have to deal with what Melody is dealing with and what she has to carry every day.
Exactly.
So, you know, you gotta just toughen up on some things and just not really worry about
Right.
how other people feel
Right.
about things.
Exactly, because you trying to find a way to cope. They're
Yeah.
not trying to find
Right.
a way to cope. They are. It's a different
Right.
than finding a way to cope and coping.
Right.
They
right.
are
Or not
coping,
having
or not
anything
have-
to,
right.
to even have to cope
Exactly.
with. You just live your life.
Exactly. You living your life,
Right.
but the other person, they are still trying to find a way of, you know, a way to cope.
Right.
And this is just like she said, if she could crawl under a rock,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for this time of the year to, you know, go, yeah, I would too.
Mm-hmm. But you know, life goes on in a sense, and so you have to figure out how to keep going.
Yeah.
But even in that figuring out how to keep going, there are moments where you have to do things for yourself. You know, it's just like a vehicle. In order for that vehicle to keep going, you have to refuel that vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way to refuel it is you have to stop.
Yeah.
You have to stop. You have to park. You know, so I have realized that there are times, and even though I'm the person that gives people a lot of motivation, I give people tips on how to keep going, how to keep their head up. But guess what? I'm still human as well, and I'm going to be real with you. There are times where I have to stop. I have to park it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, self-care covers a lot of different things.
Yes, it
You
does.
know, it could be as simple as lighting a candle and taking a nice bubble bath, listening to some music, you know, reading some type of books or whatever. But like I said, whatever it is that you know will make you feel better, do that for yourself, and don't allow anyone to make you feel guilty
That's
for
right.
doing what you need to do for you.
Right.
You know, if you said, you know, I'm feeling so overwhelmed with life right now, I really could use a few days away. If you're able to do that, then do that. You know what I'm saying? If you feel that you are so burdened to the point where you need that time for a few days, or it could be a weekend, or whatever it is that you feel you can take away, do it. And don't worry about what somebody else says or how they feel about it, because in the end, that's why there's a lot of people out here that committing suicide.
Yes.
That's why they have a lot of people out here who running away from life or feeling like they cannot carry on, because for number one, they're so concerned about what other people are going to think about them
Right.
if they, number one, confess that they have a problem. And number two, actually try to take some time away to do something about it. Because a lot of times we always want to look like we got it all together.
And we don't.
And we don't.
We don't. And ain't nothing wrong with, I try to hold myself up, and
You
but
do yourself.
behind closed doors, I do.
Mhm.
But behind closed doors, in here, I'm sad.
Oh, absolutely.
I am sad in
I
here,
know. Of course.
So I'm just being real.
Right, yeah, of course. And there's a lot of you out there who are the same way. You walking around, you smiling, you're still productive, but people don't know how you really feel and how you hurt
right.
in the inside. And some people can be just like just disregard your situation. They just act like they don't get it, and maybe they don't get it. But even if I don't understand what you're going through, I'ma still give you some type of grace. You understand what I'm saying? I'ma still at least, conduct myself a certain way, or towards you, I'ma still be a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Some people are more abrasive, they don't care or whatever, and that's the thing. The others don't care. So who is gonna actually care about you? It starts with you.
Start with you.
So self-care has a lot to it's self-love.
Right.
Self-care is self-love. Loving yourself enough to realize that you are worth it. You are worth putting time into yourself. You are worth, taking breaks if you need to take breaks. You are worth doing those things that make you feel good. Don't walk around and be miserable all the time because you just want to be good for others.
Right.
And everything that you have to take care of. But all the while in the inside, you're crumbling.
Right.
Eventually, you're going to start cracking on the outside.
Exactly.
So we want to be good, with our minds, our bodies, and our soul. We don't want to just be good in business or at work and the things that we have to do. We don't want to just be a good parent. We don't want to just be a good spouse. We want to be good for ourselves as well. You know what? You can look in the mirror and say, you know what? I did that for me today.
That's right.
I'm taking care of me.
Right.
I'm feeling good about myself and what I'm doing for me. That's where you need to start. And guess what? You will find that you will be better for other things that you need to do. You will.
Right.
But if you do it the opposite way, you're not going to be able to maintain the things that you're trying to do, and you just letting yourself just wither away.
Exactly. That's right.
It's not going to work like that.
Now, and I gotta say this here because, you never, ever can look at a person because you might see this person smiling, you might see this person walking out deck to kill, might see them running chores or helping other people, but you can't never say what that person going through. That's why, even though now you're looking at that, outer appearance, don't let this fool you. Because like I just said, you could be all those things, but in here, you are hurting and you are sad.
Absolutely.
And it all depends on what you're going through.
Right. Yeah, and that, like I said, that's why they have a lot of people out here who hurt themselves.
Yes, you're right.
Who commit suicides, who do all types of things because in their mind, they're so focused on having people to look at them a certain way and to see them a certain way, and they're trying to keep up their appearances so people can see them in a certain light, but they're really not dealing with what's going on the inside.
Exactly.
And so, we're talking about this because we just want you guys to realize, look, we all at some point are going to go through something. It may not be the same thing, but it's still something. You know what I'm saying? We all know what pain feels like. We all know what it feels to hurt and everything. And some of us just have to carry a little heavier burden than others. But at the same time, what that pain teaches us, it teaches us humility, and it teaches us to love one another, because I know what it's like to be in pain. So I should understand what it's like for when the next person is hurt, and not to pass judgment on that person, and give them the time and space for whatever they need to do for themselves, because I understand that it's important for me to do the same thing for me.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what these topics are about. You know, understanding one another.
Right.
We taking our experiences and sharing it with you guys, because there's one that we've learned from along the way in our life journey, you know, at some point in time. And so, you know, I'm not gonna keep these episodes too long. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this topic up today. This is the last episode of the first season of the Business of Soul, but we will be back for our second season better than ever.
Oh yes.
So with this one, I am Melody.
I'm Miss Gloria.
And this is the Business of Soul. Bye guys.
Bye-bye.
Till next season.